QQ norm plot in Stata. Introduction. This is the third video about a normal QQ plot. If you are curious what topics will be included by several videos, you can watch part 1, Introduction to Normal QQ plot. If you are interested in underlying mathematics for normal QQ plot, you can watch part 2, Underlying mathematics for normal QQ plot. Let's revisit one slide from part 1. Distinguish between QQ and QQ norm plot. A QQ plot, quantile plot, is a graphical tool that can be used to not only assess whether sample data follows a normal distribution, but also assess whether sample data follows any specific theoretical distribution, which is not necessarily a normal distribution. A normal QQ plot, or QQ norm plot, quantile of normal distribution plot, is a graphical tool specifically used to assess whether sample data follows a normal distribution. A normal QQ plot, or QQ norm plot, is one type of QQ plot. In practice, normal QQ plot, or QQ norm plot, is often shortened as QQ plot, although the usage is not precise. Therefore, when you hear people say QQ plot, it most likely refers to normal QQ plot or QQ norm plot. How to interpret a QQ norm plot? A QQ norm plot can be interpreted from two aspects. The first, relation between observed quantiles and corresponding theoretical quantiles. The second one, whether a sample data is normally distributed or not. Let's go through the first one. If points are above the reference line, then the observed quantiles are larger than corresponding theoretical quantiles. If points are below the reference line, then the observed quantiles are smaller than corresponding theoretical quantiles. If points are on the reference line, then the observed quantiles are equal to corresponding theoretical quantiles. Whether a sample data is normally distributed or not. If points are all on the reference line, then the sample data is perfectly normally distributed. If points roughly fall along the reference line, then the sample data is assumed to be normally distributed. If points are far away from the reference line, then the sample data is not normally distributed. Stata command and a download file. QNorm in blue is a Stata command to make a QQ norm plot. Go to the home page under QQ norm plot in Stata, find downloadable data and downloadable do file. After downloading the data and do file, you can try out yourself. Here are a few examples. Let's quickly go through 4 examples. The first example, almost all points are on the reference line. Therefore, the sample data is almost perfectly normally distributed. The second example, at the beginning, sample quantiles are larger than corresponding theoretical quantiles. The middle part, the sample quantiles are smaller than the corresponding theoretical quantiles. The last part, sample quantiles are larger than corresponding theoretical quantiles. Furthermore, the difference between the sample quantiles and the corresponding theoretical quantiles are not constant. This example illustrates that sample data is clearly not normally distributed. The third example, only the first, middle, and the last points are on the reference line. Any other points are not on the reference line. However, points are roughly fall along the reference line. It can be assumed to be normally distributed. The last example is a running example in the part 2 video. It is to few points. It looks like that points are roughly fall along the reference line. It can be assumed to be normally distributed. Summary. If points are all on the reference line, such as example 1, then sample data is perfectly normally distributed. If points roughly fall along the reference line, such as example 3 and 4, then sample data is assumed to be normally distributed. If points are far away the reference line, such as the example 2, then sample data is not normally distributed. This is the end of this video. See you next one.